Hey Truth Seekers, it's Nathaniel here for another strategy series video. Today we are going to be talking about Faith Animo and win cons. In my last strategy series video, I was explaining the different roles cards have in decks, and these are the cards for Faith that I believe can be considered win conditions. All right. I will not be including any ultras in this video. I will save ultras for another video, and I will be ranking them as well. All right. So, without further ado, let's get started. First off, we have Quillo level 2. All right, so Quillo level 2 is a level 2 Animo. They have a cost of 1, and they get 3 times the amount of cards that are underneath of them, excluding the Quillo level 1. So it has the ability that you may place up to 4 cards from your hand beneath this card, and those cards are effectively going to be out of play. When activated, this card earns 3 virtue points for each card beneath this one. Dispose of the cards when this card is discarded. So the way that this card works is you build your deck around using Quillo level 2 to get 3 for a total of 12 points. So you want to figure out a way to get 4 cards from your hand underneath it. So you're going to run cards like fishing nets. You're going to run a bunch of draw cards, cards that let you just have extra cards in your hand. And then you're just going to place 4 cards underneath of him. He probably has one of the best values in the game. However, he requires a total of 6 cards to get that far. 1 card, Quillo level 1, to grow him, the 1 copy of him, and then 4 other cards. So it's a total of 6 cards and for 12 virtue points. So he's one of the more difficult ones, but he is one of the ones that give you the most value. However, considering the fact that you have a full small group to work with, and you have 6 power cards, even if you activate 4, even if you could run 4 copies, you'd be getting, well, for 3 of them, that's 36 for 3, which is amazing. However, you still have 3 more power cards that you can use for your last Animo space. All right? Okay, moving on. We're going to talk about Stagnetic. And these are actually in order of the virtue points that they have printed. So this Stagnetic is a level 1, meaning that you only really need 1 card to play him by himself. You don't need 2 like this guy. He costs 2 faith that you discard, meaning that he can power up something else, and he has a once per turn effect action that says endurance. Instantly earn 5 virtue points if you have 20 or fewer cards in your deck, and an additional 5 virtue points if you have 10 or fewer cards in your deck. So you can be an 8, a 13, or an 18. Meaning that basically he's going to normally be 8. But if you have if you have 20 or fewer cards in your deck, he's going to be a 2 for 13. All right. And that is essentially going to be like 6.5 virtue points per his cost. In addition, he'd be an 18 if you have 10 or fewer cards. So then that would mean that he'd be like 9 virtue points per power card you use to activate him. All right. However, this does mean that you'll need to have gone through 40 to 50 cards of your deck. So plus 1, minimum you'll need at least 41 cards in order to get the 2 for 18, or you'll have to have gone through 51 cards, including him, in order to get to the 18. All right. Next up, we have Flow level 2. Flow level 2 is a 1 for 6. However, it does have this fellowship bonus for 9. It has the ability that says, as long as this card's in your small group, any love Animo in play may not be targeted by the actions of Cinis. It ends up being a 1 for 9, which is about the same value that he puts out at maximum value. So in a way, this Flow is better than Stagnetic because it only requires 2 cards. And one of those cards can actually get you another card, which is a love Animo, which you can use to get this fellowship bonus. So overall, it has good synergy with itself, considering the level 1 that you could run with it. And so you need essentially a total of 3 cards in order to activate this one at max value. One level 1, this level 2, and another Love Animo. Alright. Next up, we have Sparcube. Sparcube is a 7 for 1 and you discard it. As a level 2, he's decent. He does have a Hope Fellowship bonus for 10, so that makes him a 1 for 10, but you have to discard it. That in some cases can be really good. I did design a deck that utilizes him and Lumini that gets you a lot of points at one time. And I think it ended up being like 74 points in a single turn with him and a few other cards. But anyways, just talking about him, he requires a level 1 Sparcube, which could also have a Fellowship bonus, so you might be kind of competing to see which one you'll activate first, the level 1 or the level 2. But the level 2 basically does double the value of that Fellowship bonus that the level 1 from Cross Trainers has. So this one would also require 3, but does not have the same synergy that Flow level 1 does, because the level 1 Sparcubes don't grab you the card that you need in order to get that Fellowship bonus. Alright, but being a 10 for 1 is good value and puts him actually above the Stagnetic and Flow point-wise. Okay, next up, Stagnetic level 1 from Cross Trainers. He has an ability that has been errated to be a Preserve Faith, which is a once per turn ability. And it says if there are at least 3 Faith power cards in your discard pile, this card has no activation cost. So you can essentially get 10 for free once per turn. That's fantastic. That is phenomenal. I'm going to rank him up there with Quillo, point value-wise, because he's free. Next up is Hafalanche. Hafalanche ends up being a 3 for 10, but he has the action that says you may shuffle up to 5 of any combination of Faith powers and or Faith Animo from your discard pile back into your deck. My opinion on Hafalanche is that he is a 3 for 10, meaning that he has a value of 3.3 virtue points per power card you use to activate him. Meaning that so far he is the worst out of all the ones I'm reviewing so far. And I think actually he is probably the worst level 2 point value wise. He does require only 2 cards, which is the level 1 and the level 2 in order to activate. So he's 2, pay 3, gain 3.3 virtue points per power card used to activate him. So overall, I actually really like Hafalanche, and I hope that he does get some another card here in the future, because he looks really cool and he has a cool ultra that actually has pretty good value points for an ultra as well. So hoping this guy gets better treatment in the future, point-wise, but he's not terrible because he does recycle a ton of cards. Next one is Trusty. Trusty level 2 from Red Letter Day. Okay. He is a 3 for 10, which, as we saw with Hafalanche, is not good value. However, he has an ability to make up for it. It says, for each Trusty in your discard pile, you may remove 1 cost to activate this Animo. Alright, so this is what we're looking at. Essentially, if you can get 3 Trusties in your discard pile, this guy, plus a level 1, that's a total of 5 cards that you need to make him free. Unfortunately, that literally only leaves 1 Trusty left over. Unfortunately. So most of the time, what Carol and I do, we end up using the Trusty from Fearless to essentially make him discard himself to draw 4 cards. And then we use this Trusty to activate for 1. So that way we'll get 2 uses out of it. And a 1 for 10 is still pretty good, but he does have the potential of being free, and he has that flexibility. So we're going to put him up here with Stagnetic and Quillo. Alright, next up, we have Flaming Grow, level 2. Alright, so the Faith Flaming Grow level 2 is a 2 for 10. First off, that is 5 virtue points per power needed to activate it. Has the ability that says, when this card is played to grow Flaming Grow level 1, you may select up to 3 cards from your discard pile and place them in any order on the bottom of your deck. Avalanche is not looking so good, because the one thing he had going for him was the fact that he can shuffle up to 5 of any faith, power cards, or animo. This one does any 3 cards and puts them on the bottom of your deck so you know exactly where they are. And you can draw those 3 cards with something like the Rich Fool. And it also is an ability where this one's an action. He also costs less, so Flamingo, you do get ranked above Avalanche, but you're not quite as good as Sparcube and the Stagnetic and Flow. Next up, we have our Chief Boy. Okay, Armorino, level 3. You are phenomenal. All right? The reason why you are phenomenal is because you are a 2 for 10, which is already 5, meaning that you're competing with this guy. However, you have the Preserve Faith action that says, basically once per turn, instantly earn 2 virtue points for every Faith power card in your discard pile. No more than 10 virtue points can be earned in this manner. So, at max value, he requires 3 cards in order to play. He also requires 5 power cards. All right? That's a total of 8 cards you need in order to max this guy's virtue points power out. Meaning that he can become a 2 for 20 if you have those 8 cards. 5 faith in your discard pile, and then the level 1, level 2, and this copy of the level 3. You can easily build a deck around this because of the Truth Seeker May, who lets you discard any number of faith power cards in your hand to draw that many cards. And then you just run everything else that's generic to basically search out for these cards. And I do have a May deck that is mono faith, and this guy just is amazing in it. I played against another May deck that used Hope and got the Harvest effect off in the same turn as this. And that deck is really powerful. I'm actually kind of afraid of it. But being a 2 for 20 means that you get 10 virtue points per power card. So he's going to be ranked here with the Sparcube. Right? Technically I would rank him higher, but he does require a lot of cards. Next up is the Trusty from Fearless. All right. This guy is a 2 for 8. Not great value. Ends up being like 4 virtue points per, but he does have that 12 fellowship bonus, which is why he's here. Because most of the time, he's going to be a support card because of his ability. Says, you may choose to discard this card from your small group, including the previous growth stage, and any cards attached. If you do, draw 4 cards. Most of the time, you're going to be drawing 4 cards with him. He makes a great partner for this Trusty because you'll run 2 copies of him, 1 copy of him, play this guy first, discard him, draw 4 cards. Now you got 2 Trusties, level 1, level 2 in your discard pile, and this guy costs 1. It's good value, good synergy. However, if you run him in a Holy Spirit deck, you can get that fellowship bonus for 12, meaning that he ends up being a 2 for 12, equaling out to be a 6 virtue points per power you activate him. So he's not as good as, well, he's actually technically better than Flaming Grow in that regard. So we're going to rank him above Flaming Grow. All right. Next up, we got this Trusty. This Trusty is a 3 for 12. Has the action says you may exchange 1 card from your discard pile with 1 card in your hand. He has a very short burst for Walk by Faith, not by Sight. And as a level 2, he's doing okay. He ends up balancing out to have the same type of value that Stagnetic Ultra does, which is a 3 for 4, meaning that he is still technically better than Avalanche. But I think Avalanche looks cooler. He does a little bit more that, in my opinion, but Trusty is going to get ranked higher because of his virtue point value. Next up, we have Cross Trainer's Armorino. He has the ability that says as long as this card remains in play, your opponent's Cines, actions, and abilities have no effect. He is a 3 for 10, which is, about the same value as this guy. However, he does have a fellowship bonus for 15. This puts him at 3 for 5, meaning that his virtue point powers is as good as the Flaming Grow, level 2. So 15 for 3 is pretty good. His ability is is awesome. I actually like partnering him with this because I'm already going to be running the guys I need to grow either one of them, and I'll just run 3 chains. So I'll run three level 3s. So I'll run 2 of this guy, 1 of this guy, and I'll just keep this guy in play forever as long as I can until like I have to activate him. So this Armorino is pretty good, and he's going to get ranked over here with Flaming Grow. Finally, we have Lumini. Okay, Lumini is a 3 for 13, which is better than Trusty from Cross Trainers. However, he can become a 3 for 16. In addition, he has a really good action that says you may select up to 3 standard power cards from your discard pile and place them directly in your power pool. All right, this action is incredible. I actually think Lumini has potential to be like one of the best cards in the game, solely because Faith discards their Faith power cards a lot during their score phase, and as a result, he has the ability to put them back. And by putting them back, it means that you're going to have more power cards that activate. So say like you go ahead and you have 6 power cards, you discard 3 of them, place those in your discard pile to activate some of your Animo. All right, say we'll activate two of your Animo. He can then be activated to put those power cards back, and now you have more in order to activate more Animo in a single turn. Plus, he has that 16 fellowship bonus, so say you run it with Professor, which already is breaking the game, and you're going to end up discarding those power cards anyhow. You'll have all the power cards you need in your discard pile, and you'll be able to combo off, pop off, get the 16, partner them up with Spar Cube, level 2 here, because they have the same fellowship bonus. Yeah, it's good value. Good value overall. So I'm actually going to rank him Georgie point higher value wise. He ends up being 5.33 per power card used to activate him. So I'm going to go ahead and rank him over here under Trusty because he's less value, but he does have more value than the other ones. All right, so to top off with the ranking, we have our free boys, the Trusties and Stagnetics. This requires 4 cards to play. This requires 5 cards to play for free. However, you can bump that number down, and he ends up being a 1, which would bump him down a category in my ranking. Then I would rank Quillo level 2 underneath these guys, although he does have, because he ends up being a 12 for 1. Only reason why I rank these better is because free, even though it's less virtue points, these guys can be free, where this guy can be a 12 for 1. His deck would be a little bit more difficult to build and require a lot more specific, and it requires you to basically get rid of cards in hand. All right, so move these up here. So these guys are ranked up here. And then we're going to rank Armorino, Sparcube, Flow, and Stagnetic in this order. Because this guy's amazing. He ends up being the same value as this guy. But he ends up getting you 20 points in a single turn for 1 card. Where this guy only gets you 10. So you need to activate 2 of them, so I'm going to rank him higher. He's only ranked higher because he provides more value point-wise than Flow. But Flow has better synergy with itself, and it's a condition to get its fellowship bonus. And Stagnetic's going to be ranked here because he is be a 2 for 18. Then we have Trusty and Lumini. Lumini has a lot more potential with what we're working with here. Unfortunately, I can't put him up here because of his virtue point value, but for his action, he would definitely be up here. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and move these guys behind here. And moving on, I'm going to have Armorino and Flamingo. This one has protection, so I'm going to rank it higher than this one. We have Trusty and Avalanche as well. Okay, Avalanche is the lowest rate in my rankings, but personally, I build a deck with this. I build a deck with this. I build a deck with this. This guy, I would throw in this deck. There's a lot of options. And this guy, I probably would not run him in the same deck as this, but I would run him in the same deck as this. Because discarding 2 in a single turn, I just need to be able to discard 1 more. I'll be able to activate this guy for free. Problem is, they both have the name Stagnetic, meaning that I have to pick and choose how many copies of each I want to run. So, anyways, that's my ranking of win conditions for Faith. So these are basically cards that you would choose to build your deck around. All right, and some of them have synergy with one another. Some of them don't. Some of them I wouldn't even consider, unfortunately. I would always run Flamingro over this one, and I'm actually using Flamingro in my Ezra deck. And I do want to build a deck with this guy. I just can't figure out a deck to put him in. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring this video to a close. So in the meantime, True Seekers, keep learning virtues and defeating Sinnies.